It's bedtime. I hope you're all snuggled in and you're nice and warm under your sheets. I'll be telling you your bedtime story. Let's close our eyes and let's say our bedtime prayer. Dear God, thank you for giving us a wonderful day. Help us now as we go to sleep that we will have a peaceful rest. Our story tonight is about Joseph. Joseph was the son of Jacob and Rebekah. Joseph was loved by his father Jacob. He was loved more than all his other siblings. His father showed him how much he loved him by giving him a coat of many colors. When his brothers saw this, they hated Joseph. They hated him even more when he had dreams. One night, he dreamt that they were in the fields and all the other wheat stood around his bundle of wheat and bowed down to him. Another night, he dreamt that the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed down to him. His father was not pleased with these dreams. His father asked Joseph, "What are these dreams that you're having? Will your mother and I and your brothers bow down to you?" One day, Joseph's brothers went to feed sheep in a faraway place. So the father sent Joseph to check on his brothers to see if they were safe. When the brothers saw Joseph coming, they started to think of all the bad things they could do to hurt him. They hated their brother so much that they sold him as a slave. And then they let their father believe that a wild animal had eaten him and he was dead. Joseph was sold as a slave to a very powerful man. This man's name was Potiphar, and he was a leader in the army. But God was with Joseph. When he got sold to this Egyptian, Potiphar put him in charge of his house. One day, Potiphar's wife tried to get Joseph to do a really bad thing. But Joseph followed God's word and said to her, "How can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" He ran away from Potiphar's wife. But when Potiphar came home, she lied to him and said that Joseph had done a bad thing. Potiphar therefore put Joseph in prison. But God was still with Joseph. And the person in charge of the prison put Joseph in charge of the other prisoners. One day, 2 of the other prisoners had dreams. They told the dreams to Joseph, and he told them what the dreams meant. It happened just the way Joseph interpreted the dream. The butler was released from prison in 3 days and went back to work for Pharaoh, but the baker did not. Two years later, Pharaoh had a dream. He dreamt he was standing by the river. He saw 7 fat cows and 7 skinny cows. The skinny cows ate up the fat cows. He slept again and had a second dream. 7 thin heads of grain swallowed up 7 healthy and good heads of grain. Pharaoh woke up and wanted to know what the dream meant. So he called all of his wise men, but no one could tell him what his dream meant. The butler then remembered about Joseph, that Joseph had told him what his dream meant when he was in prison. So the butler told Pharaoh about Joseph, and Pharaoh sent for Joseph to be brought out of the prison. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I've had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. But I have heard that you know how to understand and interpret dreams. Joseph told Pharaoh that it was not him, but it was God who would give the answer for the dream. Joseph then explained to Pharaoh what his dream meant. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads are also 7 years. The dreams are one. The 7 thin and ugly cows which came up are 7 years, and the 7 empty heads blighted by the east winds are 7 years of famine. God is telling Pharaoh what is about to happen. There will be 7 years of plenty, and then there will be 7 years of famine. Pharaoh thought that Joseph was so wise that he put him over everything. He put him in charge of gathering all the food for the 7 good years. And so during those 7 years, Joseph gathered up and stored the food. Joseph was given a wife, and in those 7 years, Joseph had 2 sons. The first son he named Manasseh, and the second he named Ephraim. When the 7 years of plenty had ended, the famine came, and everyone from all the other countries had to go to Egypt to buy grain from them. Now one day, Joseph's brothers came to buy grain. Joseph's brothers came and bowed before him just the same way that Joseph had dreamt several years before. Joseph recognized his brothers, but they didn't recognize him. Joseph acted as if they were strangers, and he spoke harshly to them. He asked them where they were from, and they said they were from the land of Canaan, and they had come to buy food. But Joseph said to them that they were spies. They said to Joseph, "No, we're all one man's sons. We're honest men, and we've just come to buy food." Well, Joseph continued to tell them that they were spies, and so he told them that they would be tested. And because they had said that there were 12 of them, and one son, the youngest, was still at home, Joseph told them that they would have to bring their youngest brother to Egypt, and that one of them would have to stay behind until that younger brother came. And so Joseph sent them away, and when they went home, they told their father how this man had been harsh to them and how they could not go back for food unless their younger brother Benjamin came with them. Their father was so sad. He had lost Joseph and he didn't want to lose Benjamin as well. Why had they told this man about Benjamin? And so they ate the food that they had gotten from Egypt, but as time went by, the food ran out. Jacob then asked his sons to go back to Egypt to buy some food. But his son Judah reminded him about what the man said. They couldn't return unless their youngest brother Benjamin was with them. And so Jacob agreed and sent the youngest brother along with them to go back to Egypt. When the brothers saw Joseph, they told him all that had happened. And Joseph told them to be at peace. Joseph released their brother Simeon to them, and he had all the brothers brought to his house. Joseph then asked them about his father, and they told him that his father was alive and in good health. They still didn't know that Joseph was their brother at this time. Joseph gave them food, and he gave Benjamin the youngest 5 times as much food. Joseph then told the servants to fill the brothers' sacks with food and put back the money they had brought into the sacks. He also told them that along with the money, they should put a silver cup, Joseph's special silver cup, in Benjamin's sack. When they had gone a little way out, Joseph told his servant that he should go after them, and he should ask them why they had repaid evil for good, and why they had taken away Joseph's special cup. They said that they didn't steal anything, and so the servant told them that whoever's bag this was found in, that person would be brought back as a slave. And so everyone's bag was searched, and the cup was found in Benjamin's bag. And so Benjamin was to be taken back as a slave. But the brothers cried out and said they couldn't go back home without Benjamin, because their father had lost one son, Joseph. And if he lost Benjamin, the youngest, he would surely die. And the brothers said that one of them would stay in Benjamin's place. When Joseph heard this, Joseph could not restrain himself. He told everyone to leave, and then he told his brothers who he really was. He told them that God had used a bad situation to preserve life. He then told them to go back to their father and let him know that he, Joseph, was alive and that he should come down to Egypt and live in Goshen, and that all he needed would be provided. So the brothers went and told their father, And Jacob, whose name had been changed to Israel, decided that he would go down and see Joseph before he died. Israel got a night vision from God, and God told him not to fear to go down to Egypt because God was going to make of him a great nation. So he took all his possessions, all his household, which were about 70 persons, and they all went down to Egypt. When they went down to Egypt, Joseph told the Pharaoh that his father and brothers, along with all they possessed from the land of Canaan, had come. And the Pharaoh told them that they could live in the land of Goshen. And so even though there was a famine, Joseph made provisions for his father and his household. After some years, Jacob, also known as Israel, became sick, and Joseph was told that his father was about to die. And so he went down to see his father, and he brought with him his 2 sons. Israel blessed his sons, and he told them that the younger would be greater than the firstborn. He told Joseph that he was dying, but that God would be with him and bring him back to the land of his fathers. Jacob, also known as Israel, called all his children and blessed them, and they are the 12 tribes of Israel. Israel died and was buried in the way he wanted to in the land of Canaan. When Joseph's brothers realized that their father had died, they sent a messenger to Joseph and told Joseph that before their father died, he commanded and said that Joseph should forgive them for what they had done. Joseph told them not to be afraid, because God had used what they meant for evil for good. He had used it to save many people. And Joseph told them that he would provide for them and their little ones. He spoke kindly to them, and he comforted them. So Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's household. And Joseph lived for 110 years. Joseph saw Ephraim's children to the 3rd generation. And Joseph said to his brethren, I am dying, but God will surely visit you and bring you out of this land, to the land of which he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Then Joseph told the children of Israel, saying, God will visit you, and you should carry up my bones from here. And so Joseph died, and he was 110 years old. I hope you're asleep by now, and I hope you will have a peaceful rest.